Hello everyone, Ian Dainty here. If you recall last time, we talked about the new selling environment and what you had to do or what you had to overcome and what was going on in the new selling environment. We'll review that in a sec in order to be successful. Well, today we want to talk about selling value. But before we do, I want to talk about what the new selling environment was, just to give us a quick review. As you recall, there are more decision makers than ever before, particularly in the economy that we have right now. Time to close is up and buying decisions have gone up the ladder. So, it's going to take longer for you to sell, and budgets have been cut too. There's a lot more random events going on, mergers and acquisitions, reorganizations, and new industries. We talked about the social media industry. And clients want custom-made solutions, not off-the-shelf solutions. They want to understand that you're looking after their needs only. And they want long-term relationships with their vendors and partners. Increased competition, of course, makes it harder for you, even though they do want long-term relationships. And again, clients are not even as loyal as they used to be because of all the increased competition. And everyone is busy. As you know, you try and call somebody, you leave a voicemail, they never call back. They have call display so they know who's calling. And they're just really busy. A lot of people are doing what 2 or 3 people used to do. Excuse me. So what can you do to eliminate competition? What can you do while you sell value? And the reason most companies fail to increase their revenues dramatically is because they sell features to their clients and prospects and not value. So what do you need to do? Well, you need to have a unique value proposition that lets your prospects know what's in it for them. That is the really only way to sell in today's environment. You really should be the only way to sell ever, but particularly in today's environment with the new selling environment. But let's back up a little bit before we move on to what value is, etc. As you know, we go into sales or we go into business or become a consultant or whatever because we want to live a better lifestyle. We want to be able to work when we want, play when we want, have a time left over for family, friends, and other activities. That's why many of us go into sales and management. We see the big bucks. Wow, I'm going to make lots of money at the end of the rainbow. And after working hard and smart to achieve our goals, we figure that's what will happen. But many of us do work hard. We think we're working smart, and we still don't seem to get ahead. Selling is not an easy game, but the rewards are great for those who make it and for those who do it right, and that's what I want to talk about today. Let's look at an example of the wrong way to sell. Although this is a way that a lot of people do sell, and it's certainly better than selling features, but there are better ways. Suppose someone says to you, if you buy his or her product, it will only cost you $500, but it will give you a 30-day return on investment. Yeah, it sounds pretty interesting. The first thing, though, that comes into your mind is that you've got to put money out of your pocket, your $500. I got to give them $500 to get a return. They may then start to tell you about the features of their product, how fast it is, how big it is, how much better it is than their competitor's product. What happens then? Your first thought after that is probably, maybe I should find out a little bit more about the competition. Right? Absolutely. And then you put them off until you can find out more. And this, of course, is what all your clients and prospects are doing if this is the type of thing the type of way you're selling. So let's look at an example of the right way to sell, or maybe I should say a better way to sell. Suppose that same person said to you, how would you like to double your money in 30 days? Now they have your interest. They're not talking about ROI. They're not talking about how would you like to double your money in 30 days? If they then said, what if I could get you $500 in 30 days? Would you be interested? Well, they're going to double my money. I'm going to invest, so maybe I'll get $1,000. Well, I'm interested. Hopefully I don't have to, it's not betting on anything or it's nothing illegal, but let's see what else they have to say. So you probably would say yes, or at the very least you'd want them to tell you a bit more about it. If they then told you about other people who have made that kind of money in that time frame, the same time frame, 30 days, then you'd probably be very interested, certainly a lot more interested than you would the other one. Say, carry on, tell me more. They are giving you a value proposition, and that's what we want to talk about today. And they're not selling you any features at all. So how does this apply to your products and or services? Well, the first thing it says is keep your products and services behind your back. Now you're probably wondering, what in the world does that mean? Well, it means you have to sell value, getting back to what we did before. They got to pique interest, you got to sell value, and value usually ends up being related to money somehow. So, how do you do that? How are you going to sell value? Let's look at the reasons that corporate people buy, because we are selling in the B2B marketplace here, and so we're always talking to corporations. Corporate people buy for two reasons. They want your products and services that will help them do their job better and solve problems for them. Do their job better, solve problems for them. Keep that in mind all the time. And there are 5 areas where you can motivate your clients and prospects to buy from you to help them do their jobs better and to solve problems for them. Okay, as opposed to just saying, I'm going to solve a problem. Let's look at those 5 areas that you should review, and we'll look at each one a little more individually. The 5 areas are improved performance, increased opportunities, a competitive advantage, risk mitigation, and personal wins. Let's look at each of these a little more carefully individually now. Improved performance means what you're going to help them with is you're going to give them an increase in revenue or profits. That's what your products can help them do. Or you may decrease expenses or costs. A lot of times that's what software products help you do. Or an improvement in productivity is what your products or services do. So you're going to give them an improved performance by giving them one or more of these 3 factors. You may be able to, your products and services may help them have increased opportunities. They may be able to enter new markets. You may be able to help them develop new products based on what you know. Or it may even go into a whole new business line totally. Or you may be able to help them expand. So you're going to give them increased opportunities with what your products and or services do. How do you give them a competitive advantage? Well, you show them a differentiation. What your product or service can help give them a differentiation, which is, of course, what you always want to do. You can give them they can become the low-cost provider in their particular industry or niche, and you may help them get into other niche markets. Now, as you see, there's some overlap in these. And the other one was risk mitigation. Now, every solution carries risks. There's no doubt about that, because if you're going to give people a product or service, one way it carries risks is you're going to disrupt what they're already doing. So you're going to disrupt the status quo, which a lot of people argue against, that you don't need it. So you got to figure out how you're going to sell that part of the thing. The other side of risk mitigation, of course, is legal and government regulations. As an example, Sarbanes-Oxley came in a few years ago, where public companies had to give details on how they mitigated risk, and also the CFO and the CEO had to sign off on corporate statements, so that if anything was wrong with them, as you know, we had the Enron deal, etc., back about 8 or 10 years ago. If those things happened again, then the CEO and CFO would be liable for jail, also included the CIO. So there is some risk mitigation. If you've got products and services that can help them mitigate those risks, then they're definitely going to be interested in you. The last one, and probably the most important one that I believe that you can help people, is in personal wins. And what does that mean? Well, it means that you're going to help them win emotionally, personally, as opposed to the other 4 rather, which were corporate. Let's start at the bottom right-hand quadrant and work our way clockwise around to the top right-hand quadrant, and just look a little bit at what they do. I win, you lose. Now this is you're trying to beat the buyer in some way, and in the long run you will lose the lifetime value of that potential client, so that never wins. So stay away from that. I lose, you lose. Well, this really doesn't need to be talked about, because it says it all. It happens when you get in an argument with your prospect or client and get a short-term gain for a long-term loss. Stay away from these situations, and stay away from clients, prospects that you believe you're not going to get along with. That happened to me recently, and I just said, I don't need this type of business, so you walk away from it. The quadrant at the top left, I lose, you win. This is a situation where you may want this to happen, and that is to get the client in the door. You may, and actually should many times, offer all kinds of incentives and guarantees to initially get and obtain a client. This should only be done when you consider the lifetime value of the client and you want to show that client your knowledge and expertise. Yeah, phone companies do this all the time, as you know. And of course, we're always looking at the top right-hand quadrant, which is I win and you win. And of course, this is the relationship you want to build with all your clients. Win-win relationships form the basis for any solid experience with another person and client. This is obviously true whether it's a business or a personal relationship. And a lot of time, your business relationships will turn into personal relationships. And as you know, I've been in business for a long time, and many business relationships turn into very meaningful personal relationships, and some of these can last a lifetime. Okay, let's look at the difference between corporate results and personal wins. In corporate results, the impact of your product or service has on the business. It has an impact, rather, on the business process of your customer or client. Which means, as we talked before, you're going to go in and you're going to change the process that they use, and you're going to have an impact on that. And your results, obviously, are going to be tangible, measurable, or quantifiable. They should be anyway, so you should be able to tell them what their results are. We talked about that. That's when you talk about ROI. And the other example was a personal win. And, of course, results are corporate. Personal wins, this is the fulfillment of a promise made to oneself. So when you're selling to somebody, they have particular reasons that they not only want to help their corporation, but they want to help themselves. And you've got to delve into them. And that's something we'll talk about in our in the program I'm going to talk about in a minute. But so you've got to give them an emotional reason, and you've got to find those emotional reasons. And wins are usually intangible and unquantifiable. They want to remain in power. They want to get more leisure. They want to be an instrument of change. They want to be seen as a leader. So these are kind of, they're not really tangible, or they may be to a certain extent if they've become a leader, but they're really unquantifiable in a lot of respects. And as mentioned, wins are very personal. They really, although they may help the organizations, but they really, you want to work towards them. And this is really what the most important part of what you want to do is get people personal wins. So in a quick summary of win results, any product or service that provides the tools and knowledge needed to improve a process. That's what you want to bring to your client. Your buyer wins when his or her self-interest and serve. Again, the personal win side of it. People buy because they perceive a relationship between your solution and their individual self-interest. Okay? You got to keep that in mind. The individual, the personal wins. It's often very difficult to ask someone how he or she wins, but that there is a way, and I'm going to go into that when we go through my coaching program if you sign up. And of course, the ideal scenario is a win-win scenario and relationship for everybody. So selling value. I hope you've been able to gather some good information on this, and hopefully it will help you sell value to your clients and prospects as you move forward in your business-to-business relationship with them. In the next video, I'm going to be introducing my new program called Revenue Leap. How to generate from 25% to 100% more revenue than you predicted. And that's what my program is all about, and I'll be introducing that in the next little while. Until next time, which should be in the next 3 or 4 days, I look forward to speaking to you then. Have a great day.